Hi, I'm Rory Greener and this is the XR Summit. Today I'm joined by Web3 expert Connor Borrego, who is commercializing a blockchain-powered software to help musicians increase their earnings as an artist and grow their online audience. I'm also joined by the CEO and co-founder of Poplar Studios, the UK chapter president for the VR and AR Association, as well as metaverse advisor David Rippert. They are joining me today to explore Web3 and how businesses should prepare for this new internet age. I'd like to thank you all for joining me today.
Hey, Rory.
Thanks for having me, Rory. It's great to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining. So let's kick things off. Let's talk about smart technology, such as Internet of Things, AI, and XR. How do these contribute to the foundation of Web3 as a tool for small to mid-sized businesses? David, can you start us off?
Sure. So it's a broad subject, I guess, Web3/metaverse, we can call it, perhaps, for this discussion. I'm super excited about the convergence of all of these technologies. So as you mentioned, IoT, 5G, which brings always-on connectivity to any device connected through the cloud, as well as ML, AI, in order to do visual search and identify surroundings, among other things. And then AR, VR, and MR, so mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, all converging together to bring contextual information wherever you are in a very useful way. So I get, if you speed up to 2030, we might live in smart cities where you're wearing glasses that allow you to present contextual information in augmented reality in your surroundings, or virtual reality information in a sort of completely virtual fashion. And that will be very useful to consumers walking around these urban cities. But on the enterprise side, of course, it is already being used by enterprise customers. So whether it's in real estate, where people are able to preview, work on designs, on urban planning and smart cities using digital twins, either of cities that don't exist yet that are being built, or existing cities, capturing all of that data through drone footage and other GIS data, and then being able to plug in APIs so that you can get real-time information on what's going on in the city and making decisions through AR headsets and other types of technologies. Or whether it's in manufacturing or industrial settings for workers to be able to get guidance, or in the healthcare sector for surgeons, for example, to get telepresence and work with other types of surgeons around the world. Tourism, I mean, there are countless sectors being disrupted by the metaverse-related technologies, from augmented reality, virtuality to the metaverse. So connecting all these dots and making it one big network, we can talk about Web3 because it's the next iteration of the internet, where we move from 2D type data to 3D immersive content information that you can interact with, that is truly useful and interconnected. So in that sense, when we talk about the metaverse, we want to think about one interconnected world where all of these things can happen, because all of that information is passed through from one use case to another. So that's sort of what we're looking at. And then if you add some of the Web3 elements around blockchain, then you can also track some of that information so that it can really be passed on from one environment to the other and tracked. It could be owned by the right person. There's a lot of privacy, security issues around Web3 in the metaverse, so blockchain does solve some of these issues.
Connor, I don't know if you have any additional thoughts about that. Please.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like with the direction of sort of like the Web3 metaverse orientation, with everyone kind of focused on this immersive technology experience and all the different use cases that it could be used in 10 years out. One of the things that I'm really like focusing on personally is about where that technology can be applied today. And so much of the backbone of Web3 and the metaverse is built up on this concept of composability, or the idea, right, that like David was saying, that we're going to be able to take our data, and treat it like it doesn't matter what blockchain or internet system it lives on, and move it between the different environments, the different metaverses that we'll be interacting with. And one of the ways that we actually see that being done today is around social media, because very much the metaverse is about, sort of the digital identity your digital real estate and the pieces of information or the profile that you own that is being presented publicly. And so social media and kind of the data models that sort of support those software systems and the business intelligence systems that are built off of social media are going to be some of the first technologies that really adopt composability standards in the Web3 space, because those data models are already really well understood and primed for this sort of open source composability data standards that are going to be emerging to support that 2030 vision of this sort of immersive AR, VR, world that we could potentially be living in.
I think what's interesting also, to rebound on what Connor's saying, because I talked a lot about the enterprise side, but I think on the consumer side, we've been living in a world where consumers were participating and contributing user-generated content to social platforms, as Connor's talking about, whether it's a Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We upload videos and images that we're supposed to own, but that actually generate business for these big platforms and money for these big platforms in terms of advertising. Yes, there's a rev share model, but as a lot of us know, it's pretty unequal. And same thing in music with Spotify and others. So I think, yeah, Web3 presents the opportunity for a decentralized organization and where creators can have true ownership and traceability of the content they produce and the rewards that comes with it.
Yeah, I love the way that you phrased that, David. I always think of it as like we're turning to an environment where software is an infrastructure and a public utility, and not so much of a private, black box asset to leverage against people. So it's kind of exciting times.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I think disruption's a real key word there, especially with all the industries and brands that could bring such value to. So, Connor, can you continue on from your thoughts about how this next stage of the internet can alter a companies' marketing processes, as well as their customer and client outreach? And David, a couple words after would be fantastic too.
Yeah, so kind of building upon what we were talking about with composability and, sort of standardizing data models, if we look at that beyond just social media and managing content in sort of like this content-driven streaming social environment we have today, the advertising, the buying side of that is represented by the small business economy. And oftentimes, what we've seen over the past 10, 15 years is a lot of businesses build themselves up as intermediaries who help within the customer acquisition process for a lot of these small businesses, but in the process of doing so, inflate the cost of their customer acquisition because they've inherently inserted themselves in the value or the buying process supply chain, specifically in the case of like an Angie's List scooping up all of the plumber leads, for a plumbing business in a local area, right? They're not going to have the scale amounts of data that Angie's List is going to have to get statistically significant performance out of their advertising models, whereas Angie's List is going to be able to, which is going to allow them to buy customers effectively for cheaper to get them onto their property. And so small businesses will have to pay more to be that click, in that native platform, or will have to pay again on the Angie's List platform to get visibility. So one of the ways that Web3 kind of changes the game potentially here is with standardized data models. It gives small businesses the opportunity to pool their data together collectively, to own a property collectively that can be used in the same functionality as Angie's List to reduce their customer acquisition costs by as much as 30%. And we're talking about real, increases on their profit margin for small businesses that already subsist on such razor thin margins. This can be a really huge game changer for them. So I would say that like the opportunity that standardized data models presents to software systems outside of just advertising, kind of exists in very much the same manner, where collaborative data pooling and data intelligence can really be an asset to small businesses in a way that we haven't seen before. And so that's kind of one of the things that excites me most about Web3 and the whole composability movement.
So you were asking how Web3 is going to change customer interaction, Rory?
Customer interaction and a company's marketing processes.
Yeah. I mean, on my side, so I work a lot in marketing, advertising, and e-commerce. So that's one of the areas for sure that's changing. Again, if we draw a parallel between Web3 and some of the metaverse technologies, it's changing the game. The first thing is around data. I mean, to Connor's point, there's been a lot of changes recently with privacy issues and removing cookies, and Apple restricting companies like Facebook and others to track customers across apps and being able to really target people accurately, which of course has been their bread and butter and the cash cow for a lot of these big companies like Google, Facebook, and others. So they're really keen on creating their own experiences and sort of owning the platforms. And commerce also is an alternative source of revenue for them. So how can they use some of the content on the platforms from TikTok to Instagram posts and others to also generate sales from e-commerce? So I think that's intertwined with the revolution around shopping and what we've lived through COVID. Even though e-commerce has really increased during COVID because stores were closed, now it's back to normal levels. I would say people are back shopping physically. But still, we've seen a lot of interest from platforms to be able to help anyone sell online. So we're really democratizing access to consumers and small businesses being able to sell directly on social platforms and directly through Shopify and other types of enablers. So that's super interesting because already that's some form of democratization, decentralization, and we're not even in Web3. But giving increased tools through augmented reality, we can do things like virtual try-ons, and try at home through AR technology. We can do virtual showrooms and go out with your friends as avatars in a virtual environment and shop for digital goods that are on the blockchain as NFTs, but that are paired with the physical world, because you might also get an associated physical products as part of that. And these are super interesting business models. So a lot of brands are starting to experiment with Roblox, which is huge, of course, with a younger audience, or Fortnite, or Decentraland, Sandbox, and many other sort of Web3 based platforms around making money off of digital goods as NFTs and sort of crossing over the physical world. And then you're going to have interactions like play to earn on the gaming side, but then you're getting move to earn. Yeah, can you get people outside in the world and to earn tokens? And can you do learn to earn? Can you start getting younger people to also learn new skills, and then they're going to earn tokens that they can use for other types of rewards? So yeah, there's some super interesting new business models that will come out of it. And I think most of us believe we haven't really clearly identified some of the killer apps or some of the really big positive attributes of the blockchain and NFT yet. There are so many more to come. That's what's so exciting.
I couldn't agree more. I feel like we're only just seeing the start of some of these applications and what they can do, as well as applications that could come in the future to really again disrupt things more. So let's conclude and wrap things up. I want to know about your closing thoughts on the future of Web3 ready software as a services and how they can or already are giving more control to businesses through metaverse platforms and services. David, do you mind kicking that off before handing over to Connor for the final thoughts?
Yeah, so I think related to the first question around the types of use cases in the enterprise sector, definitely see this as being a very exciting use case because it's disrupting every single sector on the enterprise side. So whether it's going to be things like energy management, water management, or urban planning and city sort of management, all of these public services going into healthcare, I mean, even military. So it goes really far beyond having metaverse related tools, and Web3 organizations is going to really help make smart decisions in real time and save a lot of money to a lot of these public services. It's going to be because it's going to be ROI positive, so you don't have to create simulations in the real world or take decisions while not being informed. So it's you're going to have all these command centers wearing AR headsets and VR headsets and being immersed in these digital twins of true physical environments to help you make these really important decisions. And some new cities are being built out of nowhere in the desert in Saudi Arabia, in the US, in Asia. And a lot of decisions are now being made through these Web3 tools directly, rather than, years and years ago, we started by having physical models that we were working with. And then you had like clunky old computers that need a lot of power to calculate everything. And so now like we're so powerful, thanks to all of these tools on the enterprise side. And then on the consumer side, for sure, like we discussed, beyond commerce, there's a lot of stuff happening that's super exciting.
Cool. That's brilliant stuff. There's a whole lot to take on board there, especially at the end. Thank you all very much for joining me, because that's all we got time for today. That was a really valuable chat. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Rory. It was great to meet you, David.
Thanks, Rory. Nice to meet you too.
Brilliant. I'm Rory Greener from XR Today. You can get more XR news by following our social pages, as well as following the event's hashtag. Thanks for joining me today.